Daniel Dubois stops DL Jones in the third round. Jones was a big guy. I think this is probably the second biggest guy that Daniel Dubois has fought. He did fight another guy who is, no disrespect to him, very, very chinny indeed, who quite a lot, I think Dave Allen also knocked him out. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head. But Dubois did fight him. Dave Howe, I think the guy might be called. Dubois did fight him and he's bigger than DL Jones. But other than that guy, I think this is the biggest guy Dubois has fought. The guy was like 6'5". Dubois is just a little bit under 6'5". And DL Jones tried to come forward. He's got no punching power, DL Jones, for a guy of his size. I think he's got like one knockout in however many fights he's had, 8 or 9 or 10 fights. He came forward in a very crude manner and tried to draw Daniel Dubois into a fight on the inside, but Dubois was just far too physically strong for him. His shot selection was much better. He was doing a lot of damage with his uppercut. Dubois' jab wasn't particularly effective in this fight because DL Jones had a very high guard and he wasn't really allowing Dubois the time and space to get his jab off the way he normally would. He was closing him down and trying to take it to the inside. So the fight was a little sloppy for the 3 rounds that it lasted. There was quite a lot of clinching and what have you because you got two very big men who move relatively slowly, and when they're getting in close, it's going to be a bit messy, and that's what we saw in the fight. But when Dubois did get his opportunities, when he did get his space, he capitalized on it pretty well. As I say, the uppercut was a key punch in this particular fight, and that was what led to the knockout in the third. Dubois didn't look particularly sharp, and I was watching Boxing Gossip's post-fight video on this, and he said that Dubois is still filling out, and it's clear that he still is filling out. He's only just turned 20. As he fills out more, how much is that going to impact on his speed? You have to imagine it will. He's not extremely fast right now. You go look at Anthony Joshua's early fights. When Joshua was weighing 235, 238, I'm telling you, he looked a lot more sharp and snappy than Daniel Dubois. It's become fashionable among the boxing, what does BG call them? I forget now. I was just using the term the other day, but it's been a long day and I'm tired. I can't remember what it was. Boxing trendies, is it boxing trendies? I think boxing trendies. I'll just go with that for now. Yeah, it's fashionable for the boxing trendies to hate on Anthony Joshua because he's the mainstream guy, he's the successful guy, he's the pop culture guy. So it's fashionable for the boxing trendies to hate on Joshua. And it's also fashionable for a lot of them to love Daniel Dubois and say, oh, he's going to come out and beat Joshua, he's going to be better than Joshua. But when I compare Dubois and Joshua at the same stage of their pro careers, and I know they were different ages, and Joshua was a far more accomplished international amateur than Dubois at senior level, but still, if you look at them at the same stage of their careers, fight for fight, when they were around the same kind of weight, Joshua looked way sharper to me than Dubois, way sharper. His punches were more crisp and sharply delivered, and he just looked far more clinical. Dubois, particularly in this DL Jones fight, looked a bit clumsy, a bit lumbering. He doesn't quite have the stiffness of Joshua. He's a little more fluid, but slower to me, in my opinion. So, you know, we'll see how he goes moving forward. He's a very, very young man. Long, long way to go. Plenty of time. There's no reason to rush him. But I do feel that a lot of people out there who are proclaiming Dubois to be the next biggest thing in heavyweight boxing, I feel it's a little premature based upon what we've seen so far from Dubois. I haven't seen anything of him so far in terms of who he's beat as a pro or amateur, or any performance he's put in as a pro or amateur to make me sit up and really take notice and think, okay, this guy's going to go places. I don't know. He has the physical dimensions. He's just under 6'5". His reach, apparently, according to BoxRec, is only 78 inches, which is quite short. It's a pretty short reach for a guy who's 6'5". I know Vasily Klitschko had a 78-inch reach and he was even taller, but that's a very short reach for a guy that height. Just to put it in perspective, Lennox Lewis was 6'5", and he had like an 84-inch reach, you know. Anthony Joshua's an inch taller at 6'6", and he's got an 82-inch reach, I believe. So Dubois, if that reach measurement is accurate, has got a fairly short reach, but again, arm length and reach are two different things. Dubois appears to have pretty long arms. You know, just at first glance, you would think he's got longer arms than Joshua. That's just the way his body looks. But he may not. You know, I'd have to see them standing side by side. But still, I'm going to entertain the Joshua comparisons because there are so many people out there saying that he's going to be better than Joshua. And, you know, when people say it's not fair, Hatman, Joshua was older, etc., when he had this number of fights. I hear that, but I'm not the one saying Dubois is better than Joshua, or he is better than Joshua at this stage of his career. Other people are saying that, so I want to address that and compare them like for like. And really, to me, Joshua was more clearly going places than Dubois is right now, based upon what I've seen both guys do in the amateurs and in their first, 5, 6, 7 fights as a pro. To me, it was more clear that Joshua was going places. Dubois, I don't know if he's going places or not. I just don't know. He has natural gifts there, natural talent, but I haven't seen enough of him to really come out here and tell you this guy is going to go all the way. I just haven't seen enough. Yeah, good punching power. His speed, I guess, is all right. There's nothing amazing there in terms of his speed for a big guy. He's all right. Looks to have a nice jab. Positions his body fairly well, but we've never seen him hit on the chin. We've never really seen him asked any questions at all. He's never been in a competitive fight as a professional. So we need to see all this, I think, before we start declaring him, the next biggest thing in British boxing. So, yeah, he did what he had to do against D.L. Jones. One thing I'll say about Daniel Dubois, he's clearly a very focused young man. Very, very focused. You can just see it in his eyes. Whenever there's an interview, all he ever talks about is boxing, and he seems totally on his job. He's not really interested in chit chat. He's not really interested in, just having a chin wag and how's your day and all that. He's not really interested in none of that. It seems to be focused on is what he's going to do in that boxing ring. And that's a good mentality to have. But at the same time, his extremely shy nature, because it's not just that he's on his job, he is a very shy human being apparently. Nathan Gorman roomed with Daniel Dubois, according to him, when they were amateurs, and he said even when they were amateurs, Dubois was incredibly quiet. Like when they were together, they roomed together and whatnot. And he said you would have a better conversation talking to the wall than talking to Daniel Dubois, because he's just a very, very quiet human being. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was actually discussing it with somebody. I was saying, you know what? I can't remember a boxing champion, like a high level fighter, anybody who was like a world champion or anything like that, or an all-time great, who was very, very shy. I can't remember anybody like that. Some people say Mike Tyson in his young days was shy, but no, he wasn't really. He was shy maybe on big television programs. When he became famous for the first time, he'd go on these television programs in front of an audience and he'd appear shy. But then you'd see him in interviews in the gym with Cuss and interviews, elsewhere, and he was quite boisterous and wasn't shy at all. And certainly Mike Tyson wasn't a shy character growing up in his personal life at all. I mean, he was a street criminal, a violent street criminal. And when he was adopted by Costamado and went to live in the Catskills, he was a tearaway. This wasn't a shy kid at all for the most part. I think in some instances Tyson could be shy, but overall, this was, somebody who would express himself. Whether it was verbally or physically, he would express himself out there in the world. He wasn't an introvert at all, Tyson. So I don't see comparisons with Tyson and Dubois. Some people have tried to draw those comparisons. I don't see them at all in terms of the demeanor and the character. I do not see that at all. Lennox Lewis was always a private person, but he was never shy. Lennox Lewis was never a shy guy at all. He was kind of an arrogant character, Lennox Lewis. Arrogant and private. Holyfield was never a particularly shy guy. Maybe mild-mannered Holyfield, but never shy. Riddick Bowe definitely wasn't shy. Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns a soft-spoken guy, but again, not a shy guy. Yeah, Muhammad Ali. I mean, you go down the line and think of all the great fighters, even the guys who are borderline great or good, solid champions. I can't think of many of them who had the kind of demeanor that Daniel Dubois has, where he's just extremely shy. And I've never seen it. It doesn't mean that he can't do good things just because he has this demeanor, which I can't think of anyone else who has. There's always a first time for everything, right? So I'm not trying to write him off, but I just find it curious. That's all. And you know, if you've been subscribed to my channel, that I'm very interested in the psychology of human beings, particularly fighters, because it's a boxing channel. So I'm interested in the psychology of Dubois. He's an enigma to me. I can't quite figure him out. And I like to try and understand what makes a fighter tick, you know, in their head, what makes an individual fighter tick, because then it's easier to understand how they may behave in certain situations in the future. So anyway, let me know what you felt about Daniel Dubois' performance against D.L. Jones. Were you impressed? Were you not impressed? Do you think he's got things to work on? Do you believe he's going to go on to be better than Anthony Joshua? Or do you think he's an okay prospect? Or maybe you think he's a hype job? Whatever the case may be, drop your comments in the comment section below and let me know how you feel. Alright, it's Hatman, I'm out.